Hey, how's it going? This is Holistic Health with H, the Harry, with shaven head, Shivambu Man, Mr. Aegir and Mr. Sunshine in the gloomy fucking raining weather. Fucking awful. But, let us talk today. Give me a second. Let us talk about diabetes. Diabetes type 2, not type 1, although I can talk a little bit about type 1. But let's give some informational that I'm learning about type 2 diabetes, because why do I do these? Because I'm teaching myself, because really I'm not really helping you guys, I'm teaching myself. That's how you learn, yeah? If I make a video, I can and have you listen as well. That encourages me to learn, to reinforce what I think I know, so I'm connecting the dots. Remember, only 3 years into health, by the way. Only 3 years, so I have a lot to learn. You guys know way more about health than me if you've only been doing it 3 years. However, I'm very disciplined, and I'm very keen, and I'm a geek. So, I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly reading books. I'm constantly Googling shit. I'm constantly experimenting. So, yeah, I'm not just the guy that reads books all the time. Although I do that. I do read loads of books. But I read books, I connect the dots, I go on Google, I do the research, but I also, most of all, I do the experiments to figure out what works. Now, obviously, type 2 diabetes is not something I suffer with. However, definitely high blood sugars, because I do urine therapy, I do know a lot about high blood sugars. When I'm eating the wrong foods, even on my 1 meal a day, when I eat the wrong foods, I'm well aware that of what kind of things will take away high blood sugars because even I'm not saying pre-diabetic at all, but I'm just saying when I eat wrong food, I notice my blood sugar in the urine goes higher. That means my blood is much higher in blood sugar. So I notice with activations like vitamin D, for example, sunshine, UVB vitamin D does major damage to diabetes 2 and 1. Yeah, but I won't talk too much about that. Let's go. So the inspiration for this video is Mr. Jason Fung. If you don't know Jason Fung, holy shit, where you hiding? Go on YouTube and watch Jason Fung's video. Even better, this book is one of the best books on diabetes you'll ever fucking read, called The Obesity Code by Jason Fung. It's so good. It's so good that my dad chucked this away 2 years ago. My dad chucked it away. He's chucked loads of my books away. He chucked this away, and recently I thought, I need to read this again, because I remember 2 years ago when I first read it, that it was so awesome that I had to buy it again. So, I bought it again. Last week I read it, the whole thing, and then a few days ago I reread it again, my favourite bits. Because, don't get me wrong, it's not all perfect, this book. There's some shit in there. But the bits that are awesome, a couple of chapters are on point. I'm going to talk to you in a bit, exactly what the bits I can learn with you. That some of them are so profound. I bet even you guys don't know some of the shit that I'm in this book. I mean, simple, right? Okay, so type 2 diabetes is a case of insulin resistance. Insulin resistance, right? But people bandy that term around. Do we actually know what insulin resistance means? Right? It's the opposite of insulin sensitivity. There's a resistance to the insulin. It means that you have insulin. First of all, insulin's a hormone, right? Insulin is a storage hormone that is activated only when we eat, right? So every time you eat a piece of food, I don't care if it's a fruit, a fucking garbage food, whatever. Every time you eat food, hormone called insulin is released, and it only lasts in the blood very short time, 2 to 3 minutes, it's half-life gone. But then it's needed because without insulin, the blood sugar will remain really fucking high in the blood. So what insulin is a storage hormone, and insulin also, the purpose of it is to store sugars in the fat. It's a couple of things insulin's purpose for, but the main thing you need to know is that its purpose is to lower blood sugar levels, because when we eat food, blood sugar levels in the blood get out of hand. So insulin has to lower that, and the way insulin lowers blood sugar levels is it's a hormone. So what it does is it attaches to the cell. You know our cells, our muscle cells, our liver cells, our brain cells, they have a receptor, right? Hormones work on this basis, all hormones. There's a cell and a receptor, and the receptor, the insulin goes in to the cell receptor, and then therefore it tells the cell to take in more blood sugar. So as soon as the insulin gets to the cells of the liver and the muscles of the body, it tells the cells, okay, there is abundance here. There's abundance. You just eating some food. There's some sugar for you. Energy, right? So sugar, and you get the sugar comes into the cell, and the cell can only allow it with insulin. So it's really important not to demonize insulin. Type 2 diabetes is a case of too much. I'll get to in a second. Type 1 is a case of too little. It's a really important hormone. We just think of it as a bad thing. It's really fucking important. We just got to get it right. And people that have type 2 diabetes get it wrong, because they are what we call insulin resistance. And insulin resistance comes about because of Eating too much, but not even eating too much, bro, guys. Do you know what it is? It's fasting. But anyway, I'll get onto that in a bit. This is going quite long, so bear with me if you're interested. If you're not, don't worry. Not for you. But if you know anyone with diabetes, right? Really simple. Most of this information I got from this book. It's fucking amazing. So, insulin, like we said, it's released as soon as we eat food. Now, the more blood sugar, the more the food activates the insulin, the more insulin you release. Now, insulin's needed to go into the cells, like the liver and the muscle cells, so that it can take the pressure off the blood sugar in the blood, because your blood sugar's in the blood. You don't want that too high. Also, you don't want it too low either. Type 1 diabetes is fucking dangerous if it's too, right? But it's also dangerous if it's too high. Most people have it too high, not too low, because there's too much garbage food, yeah? It's fucking obvious. People eating too much crap, so it's too high for most people. So insulin does that. Now, insulin resistance is when, first of all, your insulin levels are just way too high because you're eating too much in one go and too much crap. Second of all, if you're constantly snacking, this is important information, if you're constantly snacking and grazing, like if you eat from 8 in the morning till 10 in the evening, like 14 hours a day snacking, what's happening is your insulin is permanently fucking high. This is not how nature designed it. Nature designed it for insulin to go through peaks. Nature designed it for all hormones to go through, what's the word for it? All hormones we can develop a resistance to all hormones. Did you know that? Not just insulin resistance. We can develop leptin resistance, testosterone resistance. Every single hormone we can develop resistance. Resistance only comes when we are going against nature. Hear what I just said. Resistance to a hormone, like insulin resistance, which causes diabetes, can only happen when we go against nature. Now, it's our nature as humans to feast, fine, and then famine. Feast, and then famine. Not feast, snack, 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 20 times a day. That's not how he designed it. And it's that gives people diabetes, and let me explain why. It's this constant raising of insulin without it going down that causes insulin resistance and decreased insulin sensitivity. It's the same thing, right? As you get healthier, you become more insulin sensitive. And as you get unhealthier with constantly eating crap, or not even eating crap, constantly eating, whatever. You're constantly eating, never fasting, like you were designed, you're also developing increase. So, do you hear me? When you're healthy, like us, when we're working towards you're going to become more insulin sensitive. That's what you want. When you're not, you're going to become more insulin resistant. Now, to explain differently, the insulin resistant, what it effectively means is, like, remember I told you about the cell, the liver cells, where the glucose goes, the glucose from the insulin activates, wants to get into the liver. A really important place. You know why the liver? You know why the glucose from the blood that you eating your food, right? You've eaten a lot of food. It's okay. You've eaten a lot of food. Now the insulin kicks in and it goes to the cells in the liver. Now the liver is your storage house for a secondary source of sugar called glycogen, right? It's a secondary store, yeah? Quick access secondary store called glycogen. And that can only be used after first of all, the glucose is used from the blood. Now, the cells, insulin resistance, like I told you, the liver cells, the hormone insulin kind of binds to the receptor. And then it says, okay, let the sugar in. Let the sugar in. Take it out of the blood. Take it out of the blood because it's dangerous. And we need it for energy. So the liver can store the energy. The glycogen can convert the glucose into glycogen. So that's what it does. Now, insulin resistance is when your insulin levels just get too high all the fucking time because you're eating food 20 times a day and you're fasting only at nighttime and sometimes not even at nighttime. You're doing a bit like snack and bullshit. So you're not even fasting then, right? Holy crap. Your insulin resistance comes firstly from a high insulin all the time, and that's where diabetes starts. Now, what it means for the cell is that insulin resistance, in effect, is the cell stops functioning properly because there's too much insulin in your blood. There's too much insulin hormone going into your cells, and your cells become inefficient. Your cells that should, if you're healthy, if you have not too high activation of insulin and you fast every day, intermittent fast, you should have healthy levels of insulin, of fasting insulin, and your rise in insulin shouldn't be too high if you do fasting, intermittent fasting. By the way, that's how you got diabetes, type 2. Yeah, you don't even need to change your diet, guys. Holy shit, shit, I shouldn't be saying this. It's fucking true. This book makes sense to me. I've known this for a long time. You don't even need to change your diet to get rid of how easy is that? Like, how many people have diabetes in my country? Something like a pre-diabetes, like 10, 20. It's a joke, and not even all fat people. People think it's all fat people. Now there's loads of thin people having pre-diabetes and diabetes. It's hilarious. And how to cure it? You don't even need to change their diet. They just need to, like, not sit like 2-3 hours longer in the morning instead of eating. Anyway, I got carried away. So insulin resistance is the cells of the liver that want to accept the glucose so they can store it for glycogen, which is a secondary source of glucose. Glycogen is something that's used after all the glucose has gone from the blood. About 12 hours after you've eaten your last bit of glucose, that's what science says, you start using the glycogen reserves, right, from the cells in the liver. Insulin resistance, which is created by insulin, the insulin comes first. High insulin, it's not insulin resistance doesn't cause insulin. Insulin resistance, sorry. High insulin comes first, and then insulin resistance develops. Now, insulin resistance is the liver cells become inefficient, so now the hormone insulin is far too much in the blood. There's far too much in the blood. So now the cell says, can't open up for you because there's too many hormone. It becomes inefficient, the cell, right? So now, in order to open up the cell, you need, instead of having one hormone insulin, you need 2 or 3 or 4. So now you need more. Insulin resistance is because the cell is now inefficient and you fucked yourself up with high insulin, you now need more insulin to get the same amount of sugar in the cell. You need it. So it's a dangerous cycle. Do you hear what I'm saying? Insulin resistance develops, hear what I'm trying to say. It's a vicious cycle. Insulin resistance develops because of high insulin. And insulin resistance now means that the cells need, in order for the cells to take the same amount of sugar, it now needs more insulin. So therefore we have the vicious cycle. How crazy is that? So beautifully explained. I might be explaining it kind of well, but this guy's fucking, Jason Fung's got it. He's off with some things, I believe, but he's definitely on with diabetes type 2. So yeah, you develop insulin resistance, and it's a vicious cycle, and people that are pre-diabetic are already on that cycle, and it's fucking scary. But it's easy to fix. Like I said, it's very easy to fix, even without a change of diet. This is the angle you have to come with friends and family. They're too fucking lazy to change their diet. This is why this is actually, I'm glad this guy said it. We've always known, but now I understand the reason why. It's more healthy to eat 1 or 2 meals a day, 2 huge meals, than the same amount of food spread out over 5-6 meals. People don't understand this. It's not about the quantity. Yeah, you don't want to eat loads. I'm not making that point. What a point I'm making is, why do you think 1 meal a day or 2 meals a day with no snacking seems to make people healthier than someone that might eat clean but eats like 5 or 6 times a day? Well, it's very simple. The person that eats 5 or 6 times a day is constantly activating their insulin. Therefore, that's developing insulin resistance, because insulin resistance will only come about because you've gone against nature. Nature says as you could have a window to have high insulin. Like all hormones, you're meant to be activated only at certain times. Do you know your testosterone peaks at 8 to 10 a.m. if you're a man, and then it goes quiet for the rest of the day? And if you don't, you develop insulin resistance. This is why you've got to be careful if you take testosterone testosterone hormone replacement therapy. Same with insulin. You're constantly activating insulin by eating 6 crappy meals a day. What you're doing is you're developing insulin resistance, and therefore type 2 diabetes develops to try and save your ass, because you just can't be bothered to fast, because, I don't know, you need a midnight snack at night time, you wake up and you feel thirsty, and you don't realise, and you're too focused on your own diet, and you don't realise that it's all about the fasting. Because, let me be clear, it's all about fasting when it comes to type 2 diabetes, and it's hardly about what you eat. Although, yes, what you eat is going to have a massive impact on your health, but it's that simple, and I love the bias. Like he says in the book, it's twice important, the meal frequency, and to give yourself a break from insulin, because what type 2 diabetes and pre-diabetes have is they have, okay, when they eat the same food as us, someone that's pre-diabetic, listen to this one, when someone's pre-diabetic or diabetic, when they eat the same food as us, if I was to eat the same amount of food, and this, as someone that's pre-diabetic, now, after I've eaten it, my insulin will be lower than theirs, even though we just eaten the same food. And yes, it's because I'm healthier, but it's more because I've not got insulin resistance, and they've got insulin resistance because of because they're fasting. Another thing, people with pre-diabetes and diabetes, even when they're not eating, when they wake up in the morning, their fasting insulin levels are higher than ours. This is why insulin resistance is there. Because insulin is supposed to have a break longer than 8 hours of sleep. Yeah, you're supposed to not eat just before you go to bed, like people do. Fucking stupid, or 2 hours, even 3 hours, that's okay, but not really. You know, people are doing stupid things. They're giving themselves, the people out there do about, 8 to 12 hours a day, plus crappy food, 8 to 12 hours of fasting. You're supposed to have an insulin dominant phase when you are feeding window, and then you're supposed to have insulin deficient phase, and that's how your body heals. So you're supposed to have nature's way. Insulin's there for your protection. Insulin's there, like I said, as a storage hormone to store fat. It stores the glucose from the blood, from the food just eaten, into the liver for glycogen. And when those stores are gone out, if we fast for a longer time, you guys will know this, it's stored in the fat cells. Yeah, and then you can put on weight. And there's the problem. Look at that. Insulin literally puts on weight. Insulin. Oh, another thing from this book. Now we're coming to it. If you look at, tell a type 2 diabetic, listen to their doctor and go and get a insulin injection. Yep. Type 1's different, because they don't produce any. And they can't, because even with that. But type 2 diabetic, if you want anyone apart from type 2 diabetic to put on weight, tell them to go and take insulin, because insulin is a fat storage hormone. And what everyone's doing that's got type 2 diabetes is, their blood sugars are so fucking high. They've got insulin resistance. They need more insulin, hormone to get into the cells of the liver to put into as glycogen, right? And then there's so much extra insulin that what happens is we're creating lipogenesis, creation of fat cells. What we're creating is fat. That shit, yeah? Abs. Not abs, fucking belly fat. That's why type 2 diabetes and pre-diabetics are mostly, if not all of them, fat. Because their liver is full up with glycogen. Their liver's only meant to handle, as a reserve, glycogen just a little, not too much. And then when you fucking don't fast all the time, and you're constantly snacking and grazing, you've got so much insulin, and you've got insulin resistance, the vicious cycle, you've got so much spare that your body has to do something with insulin. Because I tell you what, you will die if your insulin in the blood is too high. So your body protects you. That's your body's protection mechanism. Do you get that? You will fucking die if your insulin levels in your blood are too high. If they're too low too, you'll die. That's why type 1 diabetes is fucking dangerous. There's other diseases that are dangerous too. But your body protects you from high levels of sugar in the blood. And the way it does that is by putting visceral fat on the fucking tummy. And that's where we got obesity. And that's why obesity is linked into type 2 diabetes and metabolic syndrome. Because the body's trying to protect you. And people are just putting on piles and piles and piles of fat. Now, nature says, okay, I'm going to give you a chance with this human avatar. You're going to put on loads of fucking... you're eating too much. You've got loads of visceral fat. So here's your warning, yeah, that you need to lose that fat. Not only that, there's so much visceral fat on people, they can fast for like as a guy did in the 1960s. Have you seen the record for the guy that fasted? He fasted for like 365 days. A fat dude. I'll post up a meme of that tonight or tomorrow. He fasted... there's a world record for fasting. Was a really fat man. Really fat, huge amount of visceral fat. And he took a vitamin supplement every day and some water, but he did the world record. And the reason why he could do a year with fasting is because he had so much visceral fat. So anyone that goes says to you, "I'm fat and I can't fast," hello, you've got more reserves than me, buddy. You can go much longer than me. Okay, yeah, not nuanced, because I know that you can die when you're fat and unhealthy and you fast too quickly. You can. This man didn't, though, but you can, so I don't want to advocate that. I'm just making a point. So yeah, it's crazy powerful. I was going to say something then, I forgot what I was going to say. That's pretty good, though. I'm doing well. In terms of, like, trying to get the information out there from this book. Highly recommend you read it, by the way. Also, he's got another book I want to get called The Diabetes Code, but this makes so much sense to me. It's all about insulin. We have ravaged the system so much, and people that have got lots of visceral fat, and it's all it is. Fat is just they are insulin resistant, and they are. You can look at a fat person and know a lot about them. You can not all of them, because 1 in 1,000 has a condition, but you can know that they are not fasting. They're not fasting. Simple as that. Because fasting for type 2 diabetes is more important than what they're eating. So yes, they're eating crap. Oh yeah, another thing as well. Cokes are gonna like spike your insulin levels, and all the that's the really bad shit. I mean, there's garbage food, but the garbage drinks I think even do the real damage. The Cokes, the fucking sodas, because they're putting all that sugar in, plus activating your insulin to fucking ridiculous levels. So, you know, and taking Cokes before bed, it's crazy shit. And yeah, let me just read your comments, and I hope you enjoyed the video on type 2 diabetes. Please tell your friends. It's as simple as, for people that, you know, because we know it's hard to change the diet, and people don't have the motivation to do it slowly and stick with it, but, you know, all we got to do with people with type 2 diabetes is, you know, try and get them to 1-2 hours a day extra into the routine. Start getting into a habit of, you know, one snack less a meal a day. Make them read this book, man. Oh my god, they'll understand shit. But and then you can build from there. So if they eat 3 meals plus 2 snacks, well, 3 meals and 1 snack. Go slow with people. People don't like to be rushed, and nor do I. You have to do slow with people. So 3 meals and 1 snack. Take them down. And ask them, do you feel better? Yes, I do. You know, and you can check their fucking blood sugar levels. They'll be lower. And then you get excited and tell them, well, yeah, keep going. Do 3 meals a day and no snacks. And then 2 meals a day and no snacks. And now we know, by the way, now I know why is 1 meal a day, example, the OMAD meal diet, seem to work so well. Because you're in a state constantly of sometimes me eating really bad foods, and a lot too. A lot. I can do it because I'm in a state of constantly fasting, and constantly, we are insulin sensitive. My insulin sensitivity is very high, right? Very high. Now, before I leave, there's 2 bits I will read the comments, and I've got 2 bits of information I want to give you that just thought of. They're pretty sick. Yeah, I've heard ketosis is good, so I need to look into more on this. I believe it is, so that's true. Okay, so insulin resistance, we've established, is the worst. And we want to undo insulin resistance is caused by high insulin levels. High insulin levels activated because you're never fasting. Now, here's another 2 tips, apart from the number 1, which definitely should be, you know, up their fasting hours, take down their snacks, condense the feeding window, even if they don't change their diet. That's number 1. Absolutely most important for helping people with type 2 diabetes. Number 2 and number 3, how can we, 2 other methods that can lower insulin resistance, increase insulin sensitivity, which is what we want. 2 great things. 1, midday sun, UVB, vitamin D specifically. Vitamin D, UVB sun, which is only produced between 10 and 3. The midday sun, if you live in Europe and not in tropics, only in the summertime, the spring and autumn, not in the winter. So you're in trouble in the winter. You got to do some more fasting. But if they're living 9 months of the year, apart from the winter time, that between 10 and 3, especially 12 to 2, when the sun is highest in the sky, that's when you produce UVB, vitamin D. Vitamin D increases insulin sensitivity. Vitamin D lowers insulin resistance. So many studies prove it. So in other words, another great way to help people with pre-diabetes, they have to expose skin to the midday sun. How do you create vitamin D? You do take your shirt off, not just your face. It's not enough. It's not enough, guys. It's not people with diabetes just expose their face to the midday sun. It's not enough. That's why people are unhealthy. They've got to expose at least the chest, the back. You know, I do the whole shit, man. Get your tan free. We do the whole shit, but they won't. So that's that one. So that, increase insulin sensitivity, lower resistance, midday sun. Number 2, that no one seems to know about, the cold. Cold therapy. Great if you live in the UK. Cold therapy, cold thermogenesis. Not even cold shower. Yes, cold showers. Yes, cold. I don't do that, but what I do is I open the window in the fucking freezing UK weather. And I'm constantly shivering. Or getting, I think it's my body type, I'm quite thin. So I put myself through the cold all the time, constantly, so I'm in stress. But the cold, yeah, just shivering and shit, that increases insulin sensitivity. When insulin sensitivity goes up, therefore you'll lower your fasting insulin levels. You will your activation of insulin when you eat will be lower. So the cold works beautifully. Look at how nature's designed it to heal us. Fasting, and then sun. And when there's no sun, when there's always sun on the clouds, but there's the cold too. So if we don't live in fucking tropics and it's cold all the time, well, we've got the cold diabetes type 2. That's why Tim Ferriss talked about in his book 4 Hour Body. He talked about people losing weight from doing cold therapy, like losing a lot of weight, himself included, like doing the cold showers and shit. Part of the reason, huge part of the reason, increases insulin sensitivity. So you less insulin in your body, less fasting insulin, less insulin means that you're going to lose weight because it's a fat storage hormone, insulin. Like I said, there's a way to put on weight is insulin. Take an insulin shot injection. Another one that puts on weight quickly is also cortisol. Cortisol puts on weight too. It's another one. So stress. Stress makes you fat. Stress makes us unhealthy, but stress makes us fat too. Unfortunately, stress raises blood sugar levels, and it does make us fatter. So it's really bad to be stressed. It's really bad to eat food when you're stressed. Really bad. That's why it's going to make you putting on weight has all the kind of implications of type 2 diabetes and all that kind of shit. So yeah, all right. Yes, we do need fat, but Ryan, but this is not too fat. This is just about right fat. People are carrying around way too much fat. If you don't believe me, just look outside your door. Just go and check the stats for people that smoke, drink alcohol. Oh, have type 2 diabetes that even thin sometimes nowadays. Crazy shit. Pre-diabetes. We're living in a sick society. Yeah, sick in many ways. But there are outlets and people on YouTube watching that, you know, are warriors, and we're different in a way. Thank God. There is examples. We can be healthy relative to the environment. The environment's healthy. We can be kind of healthy, which is fucking cool. You know, we can do our best. We're like all boiling frogs, but we are just healthier boiling frogs. And we can enjoy life, because life is fun. It's fun to learn shit, man, and help other people, right? So, on that note, thank you very much for watching. I hope you got a lot of value from this. Type 2 diabetes. Fasting. Basically, bottom line. Insulin puts on weight. People that have type 2 diabetes, pre-diabetes, dangerous. They have insulin resistance. It's not necessarily about changing diet as much as it is about not condensing the feeding. They don't understand the power of intermittent fasting and fasting, even intermittent fasting. If you fasted, in my opinion, if you intermittent fasted for 16 hours, you had an 8 hours is loads. You had an 8 hour feeding window, you would never get type 2 diabetes. 8 hours? Holy shit! I do 23 hours a day. Yeah, eat and I'm done. And I'm asking people 8 hours, they can't even do that. Good. Type 2 diabetes would end tomorrow. So on that note, peace and bye.